Hello everybody, Rick here from My Backyard Projects. Today I'm going to start with something pretty simple, something everyone can do in their garden. A lot of people will do worm farms and they're great. The only trouble I've found with worm farms is that you're always trying to drain the water out of them and they get blocked up. It's a great way of collecting worm castings, but can be a little bit more work, and sometimes you just want to put those nutrients straight into the ground. So I'm going to show you how to make a fairly basic worm tower for your garden. It's about a 5-minute project and you can do as many of these as you like. A lot of people will make these worm towers out of old buckets and so forth. They're great, you've got a bottom in them and you can collect the worm castings later to move around your garden. But these little worm towers are great because what you can do is just put them where you want them and then move them, and the worm castings are already in your garden bed. So you can basically have 2 or 3 of these in the garden bed. Have one that you're just starting, one that's productive, and one that you've stopped feeding so that the worms will move out. Okay, so this is what we're going to be making. Basically, that's just a 90mm PVC stormwater tube with an end cap on top. You're looking at maybe $1, not even, for the tube, and about $2.50 for the cap. So somewhere around sort of the $3 to $4 mark is all you need. Now basically what happens is you just drill a bunch of holes. See, like this? That allows the worms to move in and out of the tube. The cap, as you'll see when we put it in the ground, just keeps the sunlight out and a little bit of the smell out. Because what we do is we fill this tube with organic matter out of the garden and out of the home scraps, and the worms will basically chew that, break it down, and create worm poo or worm castings. Okay, so what we're going to be doing, planting this worm tower down to about here. So all these holes are underneath the soil. What we do is then fill this up with organic matter. Now it can be anything, it can be the scraps from the garden, the leaves that you pull off, your cabbages and your lettuces, it can be your garden waste. The one thing worms don't like is things that are acidic, so any citruses. Generally don't like the capsicum style products, so they don't like your chilies, your capsicums, those sort of things. The acids, I believe, they don't like to digest. You generally don't want to put any sort of meat scraps in these as well. Now what will happen is in the garden, the worms will move in and out, and what they'll do is they'll aerate the soil in your garden by creating little tunnels, and they also will leave their poo as they go along there, which is a really great fertiliser. You get a whole lot of worm castings in the tube at the end. Then all you do is basically you can pull that out of your garden, and those worm castings there, and then just wake them around. Once you stop feeding them, the worms will move out, and then what you can do is just basically pull that out and move it to a new location. Okay, so let's bury it and see how easy this is. What we're going to do is dig a hole here. I haven't got a lot of straw. You can see I've got some more there we'll be putting around. I'm just going to, here comes Molly's just going to come and give me a harass me while I'm trying to do this. Dig a hole here. We're going to bury this up to just above the top level of the holes. And then we'll pop some organic matter in there and we'll get some worms out of the worm farm and we'll start it going. Okay, so as you can see, we've buried this pretty much up to the ground level being right where these holes are, and I can add a bit more soil in just to bring it up above it. What we'll do is we'll just backfill this now. Okay, so now we've backfilled it. As you can see, it's hollow down there. We really don't have any organic matter. A bit more there. What happens though is the worms can move in and out of those holes without having a bottom. It means they can come in and up out of the bottom as well. So they've got plenty of ways to get in and out. What happens is they'll start breaking that organic matter down, and that will fertilise this garden. And worm castings are a very, very good fertiliser. The cap on top also helps keep out any other insects that you don't want in there. Spiders, flies, anything like that. Okay, so I've got a few carrots here that I left in a plastic bag by accident and they've gone a bit dark and black, so we're just going to whack them in. Boomer's trying to investigate, see what's going on. Okay, and I've also got a little bit of broccoli here that that's bolted. So we're just going to chuck it in there. Then all you got to do, if you've got something that won't go down, you just basically stick and push it down to the bottom. Okay, so let's go get some worms and we'll put them in there and they can start the process. Okay, so I've got a few worms out of the worm farm. Now, this isn't a lot of worms, but they will breed in the system. And we'll just pop them in there like that. They will breed in the system, as well as just general earthworms will be attracted to this anyway. So this will actually build up quite a lot. The more food I put in there for them, the more they'll breed. It takes a few weeks, they'll actually lay their eggs, and then they'll actually breed up. And they'll add a lot more worms to this garden that would normally be here. So we just finish up, pop that on top, and whenever we've got some scraps, we can just come back and keep feeding it. It's good to keep a bit of an eye on it and see how quickly the worms are eating it. For the first couple of weeks until they breed up, you don't want to be putting too much in there because it can then start to rot because there's not enough worms in there to eat it up. But for now, that'll be perfect and we'll keep an eye on them.